Hello, everyone. Welcome back on a Friday night here in New York. And we have virtually traveled to Svetlana. Tell me, where are you based?
I am based in Northern California.
Northern California, the magic of virtual reality, right? That we could travel virtually anywhere. So, thanks everyone for joining. Welcome back to another episode of the MasterClass show. And what we do here is we just chat everything personal development and business development. So, this is for mission driven entrepreneurs, as I'm sure one way or another, we all mission driven entrepreneurs. So I know this actually could speak to lots of entrepreneurs. And today I have an amazing honor to have another cool guest on. Her name is Svetlana. Svetlana, thank you so much for coming on and chatting with me about a really cool topic today.
You're welcome. I'm so happy to be here.
The pleasure is all mine. We virtually get to come out of you are in my Facebook group, and we've been really connecting there. So I'm really glad that I get to see you virtually now. And this is a really cool experience for me as well. So Svetlana, tell us a little bit about yourself, whatever you like to share. No pressure.
Well, I am currently a preschool educator. I teach full time, and I am working in person. So that's been fun. I'm fully vaccinated. I'm very excited about that. Keeping everybody safe. And I was born in Russia. That's where my name comes from. Svetlana is Russian. And I am married, and I have a dog and a cat. And that's it.
Love that. So we are European. I'm Albanian as well. So from a little small tiny country in Europe. That's really cool. So Svetlana, were you born here?
No, I was born in Siberia.
Okay. Wow. That's something really cool about you.
I come a long way away.
Yeah. Wow. Great. I love that. So I wanted to chat a little bit about how's your maybe some of the major challenge, like some things that maybe you had to overcome, because something that we do here, I know that's like a loaded question, so let me try to process it, right? So something that we do here is kind of, speak about the mindset behind the resilience part, right? Because as we are building our businesses or even just life, we always get faced a lot of adversity, right? I mean, I think we all have it one way or another. We all have a story. We all have something that drove us. And maybe at the point in time that we encountered it, it's probably the worst thing in the world, but we somehow find a way to overcome it. So is there something that you feel like, was there any adversity in your life that you like to share with us? And then, share with us also how you were able to overcome?
Well, I was adopted, so I have some adoption trauma that I am still processing 30 years later, but I've come a long way in terms of figuring out who I am or where I came from. I had a language barrier when I first came. I came when I was 6. I only spoke Russian, and so I had to learn English to go to school. And I had a late start in school. I started first grade when I was 7. But I caught up because I speak fine now. I have no accent, and I don't actually remember Russian anymore. So that was something that I had to deal with as a child. And then later on, I dealt with some family stuff. My family got divorced when I was young, so I had a split family on top of being adopted. And so it just kind of, I think every decade had something. So then in my 20s and 25, I had some rough times with work. I couldn't really find a job that fit what I wanted to do. I was jumping around from working in special education. That was really my passion. And then working with children in regular education, preschools, and then directing. And that was my favorite job. And then I lost it due to COVID. And so then I got let go from a job for the first time ever in my life during COVID, and that was the biggest adversity yet. And that was recently in March. I've never had that happen to me before, but it was a huge turmoil. It lasted months, and during that time, I chose sobriety, and that's been difficult. So here we are today.
Wow. So we have a few common points together. So I came here when I was 15 too, and I disconnected with the language for sure for many years. So I am now back because now I'm back into my community with what I do. So I totally understand. Sometimes you feel connected to, I mean, not sometimes, like we always remember kind of like where we came from. So, but that's really cool. And also the fact of, you mentioned the transition period or COVID, and the way that I think we're just chatting a little bit about before the interview, has so many people now either have to be forced into change or transition, or have just had a lot of time to think and reflect based on everything that's happened, all this adversity, that they kind of realize that maybe they want to change something in their life. And a lot of people are taking different paths from maybe what they've been used to for so many years. So I definitely, I definitely see a lot of people that are going through this transition. And how's that experience been for you right now? With trying to transition and trying to figure out what else is it that you could do? What's been the biggest challenge for you?
The biggest challenge for me is staying present with my current job and not daydreaming so much about what I want to do on the side. And then, of course, on the other side of that is because I'm so immersed in working full time, I'm not feeling motivated, or like when I get home from work, I'm done and I don't have like an urgency to work on my side hustle, which would be life coaching. So I'm just trying to decide where I want to go with it. And I was really giving myself pressure on getting things done. I made a business card and everything. And then I decided to step back a little bit and really think about who I want to serve, and make sure that I'm serving from my heart first and then going from there.
Very, very important. And you're doing the right thing, because this is not, it's hard because it's like you don't know, it's unknown, right? So that's where a lot of the anxiety comes from, because it's a new thing that you're trying to do, right? So it's, I mean, we were chatting, I've been here a couple of years back, right? So very confusing time. A lot of times you feel confused, lost, procrastinate, perfectionism, everything shows up, and you kind of feel like, am I ever going to figure this out?
That's right.
I said, let me go get my corporate job again, because it's comfortable, you want to go back.
Easier, right? Easier to go back to what you know. You're like, oh yeah, I can't go wrong. So
yeah. So absolutely. But I think what I've learned so far, just not through my experience, but also so many other people that I'm now supporting through the transition, is take your time to figure out who you are. And that is something that you have to do intuitively. And we'll speak a little bit about that, because I think that you might have some gifts in that as well. So I think we all can develop our intuitive side. For the longest, I'm like, I'm not intuitive. I am not creative. These are all like things I would tell myself, because my job directed me to become very project management oriented. So I had to handle lots of tasks and also people in my position. But for the longest, I never thought that I was innovative, creative, intuitive, and all these things I discovered while I came out, to do what I'm doing in my business. So a lot of times just transitioning slowly and figuring out other gifts that you might have. And the whole life school is built on this mission of, we don't know what our talents are until we actually start putting ourselves into building new skills and in new territories and in new things. And then we figure out that we like something, and then sometimes we turn that into a passion. And then that's how accidentally we discover our talents. we're not always lucky. Our journey in our life doesn't always take us exactly to the talent, right? Because that's the beauty of life. Otherwise it'd be boring, right? But that's, we have to like navigate a lot of different things. So let's talk about a little bit about the intuitive side of you. I know we're chatting a little bit before, and I know when you connect to the business is honestly very, very important. But tell me a little bit about your indication with the intuitive side, and kind of picking up energies, and what has that experience been for you? Because for a lot of people that I speak to that are not into it, they just don't understand it, right? It's like, well, what do you mean? You could pick up clues and you can connect things, and life happens for you, and everything is a clue that you just put together somewhere. It's like most people don't get it. Some people think it's a religious experience. So like, let's like kind of get a different perspective about what do you think that is?
So like I mentioned earlier, I was adopted, and I think just being an orphan, you have to trust yourself. You have to trust your gut intuitively to know what's coming next, because you just have no idea. You have no idea where you're going. You have no idea where you are. You have no idea what's going to happen to you, or you have already happened to you. There's just so many questions out there when you're an orphan. And so, and especially as a child. So often you lean on your senses, your sight, your hearing, your smell, your taste, everything, just like a baby does when they're born. That's how they learn. And so I think that's just stronger in me innately from the beginning. And so I've used that for as long as I can remember. And that's how I learned how to trust people as well. I lean into my gut instinct. And that's how I protected myself. And so now that I'm older, I don't quite need it for protection anymore. Now I use it to learn different things. So now I can lean into other people's emotions and to help them. And that's how I've kind of turned into like an intuitive healer almost. And I can just really connect with people at work most of the time. They're always like saying, I always know exactly what they're feeling or thinking, and I make them feel better instantly. So that's just how I read people's energies, is just by being near them and watching their body language, and then matching that with what they're saying or not saying. So that's what I do.
Oh my gosh, she gave me an aha moment. That's why I'm like listening, because that's why I love what I do as well. You just like never know what you will hear, just like turn into a different way. I always like, everything is like a right. So, and that's exactly true. And that's what I say in business as well, because business is such a unknown, right? I mean, you just never know. There's so many unanswered questions. There's so many people that come to your life. You have to make these decisions that a lot of times you don't know what the hell you're doing, but you just kind of have to follow that gut, as you said, and utilize those senses. And maybe for the longest have helped us survive, in certain situations. And I'm sure I could definitely relate to a lot of personal experiences as well of adversity. But since we spoke about that, this is actually, connected. So that's how we have to be. This is what I mean when I say intuitively in tune to you in business, because all the decisions have to come from the interior, because if you make them from the exterior, it's always the wrong decision. That's what I've experienced. Either I'm comparing it to someone that maybe I admire and I'm not there yet, or there's feelings of jealousy in comparison, or there's perfectionism. So all of that comes from the exterior. So you have to go inside of you and pick up that sixth sense, or that gift that now I'm not sure if everyone has it. So maybe that's something we can discuss, and I don't know what your opinion is about it. But then I feel like that's exactly what happens. That's my personal experience as well, as I feel like this is why I believe in business as a mission oriented, thing that you are just like intuitively, picking up and staying very focused and loyal until you drive that mission forward or that vision forward. So, I mean, I love how we just like spin it in a different way, and it's really like the same thing. So that's my other question. What do you think? Is intuition born, or is it a skill we can develop?
I think everybody's born with intuition, and then I think it takes development to use it as a skill.
Yes, I love that. I think that as well. So, I mean, are some people more intuitively inclined than others? I think so, for sure, because we all have that gift, but you don't know yet until you develop it. Just like any skill, unless we develop it or any talent, then how do we know, what is that that we actually possess it? So it has to be developed and work with people. I always say, like, my healing has been like live at all times, because when you work with people, like whatever profession you're into, I know you say you're a preschool teacher, but you have to intuitively like feel things and really understand like how to relate to people, how to meet their needs, how to speak their language, how to connect with them where they are, right? So I think you just like develop it all around, and then it comes to a certain point where you just like, I mean, sometimes I'm like, I can read people's minds. I don't know what level that could be. Maybe, that's a gift someone has, but I guess it could get that way. So anyway, that's really, really cool topic. So tell me a little bit more about, how do you pick up intuitive, how do you actually, we could chat about this, because I think all entrepreneurs struggle with energy containment and focus, right? So because you split in so many ways, so many different things come to you all at once. So yes, you have to use intuition, but also you have to be very observant of your energy, because our energy tank can run so low. Like right now, this is where I am personally, is the more your business grows, the more you try to hold on very loyal. I guess it's survival mechanism that you're trying to hold on to just your energy and your base, because you can get very drained. And especially if you are more path an empath than other people, I think you have to really understand how you operate, because this is a big, big problem for entrepreneurs. What do you think about energy containment and energy all around?
Yeah, that's a really hard one, and I am definitely an empath to the max. I take on all sorts of people's feelings and emotions, and honestly, for me, solitude is honestly the only way that I can get away from it, and self care, and really coming inward. I meditate all the time, meditate on my lunch break, meditate in the morning, at night. So I really try to silence my mind and my thoughts and my people. I just need a break because I'm constantly holding space, whether I want to or not. It's not something I choose to do. It just happens intuitively. I just hold the space where somebody needs it or doesn't need it. And so I find when I'm getting really agitated or tired or grumpy, I try to figure out, is that me or is that something I picked up from all day long? And then I evaluate it from there. So I think that, and I'm an extrovert. Most people would say that I'm very hyper and outgoing. But honestly, I've learned through COVID that I'm more introverted than I am extroverted, and that it's just an act that I put on most of the time to help those around me, to help give them that extra oomph of energy that they're lacking, or to provide that smile on my face that they need to have a good day. So it's kind of like a mask sometimes. So to preserve all that, I need solitude, and I love taking a bath. That's my favorite thing to do. So.
Oh my gosh, that's another one. So that is so funny you said that, because I always thought I was an introvert, but that was because I worked with people all my life. So I had to conserve my energy. But I'm very outgoing and I'm very energetic. So I'm like always, up to many years, I'm like, I'm an introvert. And I still think I'm an introvert because I need solitude to recharge. But now I understand another side of me, that I'm also an extrovert, because I love people, I love energy. So it's funny how we not one thing, as we are told. We can develop our personality as we're growing and evolving. So that's really cool. Well, let me tell you, I think it's your gift. you might have found your answer, because there is so much need for this right now. I think even science, neuroscience, is discovering how to tap into these things. And there's people even really seeing visions of things like that. So I think if you really develop it, you can really go high with it. It's a skill for sure. So the way you're speaking about it just seems to me that you are so knowledgeable about it, and also very, you have a personal story around it. So if you've already done it all your life, sometimes what I feel like with skills or gifts, it's like you don't see them. You don't see them. You take someone else to just tell you, you know what, you might have something here. Right. So I think we just need that one person to bring it out, and then you just have to take it and just keep going. Right. Obviously, the work is always individual. No one can come in and do the work for you. But sometimes it just plants a new seed in your mind. So hopefully we have done that today. So Svetlana, any other things that we want to add regarding energy or intuitive intelligence? Any other thing that you would like to add to this topic, or anything else in general?
I think just trust is coming to mind. Just really trusting yourself in all areas of your life, no matter what path you're on or what you're doing or where you are, and checking in with yourself. Because I feel like lately during the day, I just kind of say, do I trust what I'm doing? Is that what I want to be doing? And if the answer is no, then I do something different. But if I say yes, even if I'm working with the children, of course I want to be there. That's been my career my whole adult life, and it's my passion to work with children. But then when I come home and I say, did I trust myself all day? And then I think of moments of when I did something that was out of my control, or something that I didn't feel right about. And that's how I'm building my intuition. And then I just kind of evaluate. So always do trust yourself and reflect. That's what I feel is best for me anyway.
Oh my, trust is a big one for sure. And trust it with other people as well, right? So this is just coming to the surface a lot more nowadays with authenticity and how we connect. Maybe because we lack that connection for over a year now. It's been over a year. So now I think we're realizing that we are social beings, and if we remove all the crazy hustle and bustle and we just sit back and we had time to reflect and go deep and figure out our things, that we're nicer to each other, right? Right? I mean, that's
or you get rid of people that you thought were really great, and you had all this time to yourself, and you're like, no, not really. So I feel like I've lost a lot of, not like relationships, but people that I thought were really supporting my plans or my future. And then when you come out with your new thoughts and plans about what you want to do, you find out that they're actually not the best support system. So trusting yourself and surrounding yourself with people who trust what you're doing is going to be helpful as well.
Oh my God. This is why we've created the community, the Business Hub community, just out of all these needs that I've seen throughout personally, and also from people I've worked with, because you need to be in a certain environment for you to nurture your gifts and dreams. You don't always, unfortunately, find this everywhere. So if you do find one, stay with the people and stay with that community, because you will just nurture yourself. Personally, business wise. I think once you go in and you figure that out, then you can be successful in whatever you want to do. And sometimes I don't always like the definition of the word success, because it's very like traditionally driven, like achievement. That's what I've done many years, like achieve. And I'm like, I'm not happy. There's got to be more to this. I'm like, let me see. Maybe there's fulfillment. I have to figure out how to work not on just achieving things and just keep going for the next and the next and the next. That doesn't make me happy. I'm like, I have to be able to contribute. So, and this is just through a lot of the training. I love Tony Robbins. He's
me too.
For me. So he's the one that I relate to. So he's the one that when I said in one of his seminars, I just had that big light. I said, "Let's it. I'm done. This is what I'm doing." And it hasn't been smooth sailing, but it starts somewhere. So that's all I say. It just takes one thing, but then you have to just nurture yourself, because you don't always find support. And a lot of times it's your immediate family, right? Because they're used to you one way. So when you are transforming, you're like, what happened to that person? They get scared. So a lot of times you have to really be very clear with boundaries to really learn how to self-respect, so you can put the right boundaries around you so that you can nurture your passion. Because if you just let everybody come into that and the energy part we talked about, then it's like you're going to get lost and you're going to go back to safety. But safety is no longer safety, because that's where you are unhappy. So that's how it happens to most people. So you just have to keep pushing, keep struggling, keep hustling. That's what I say, right? Until you find a new medium, and then you're like, oh, I'm actually resilient. I always thought, that's another myth I always had. I'm like, I like safety. I like comfort. I don't want to do anything else, But once I figure out how to push myself through that and become like a chameleon of like you adapt to your things, and then you develop another skill. So that's the other skill in business, adaptability. Nothing will go your way, by the way. You'll go the way it's meant to be. But we don't know that. So we hustle, we struggle. A lot of times we don't know what we're doing. And then we learn, right? We learn through that. And then you just build a new threshold. We're just chatting about this before the interview, all right? I was just telling you, like, don't worry about it. This is a cool interview. It's very, chat worthy. But obviously, I would not have said this unless I interviewed before, right? So it's like a skill. It's a skill. Everything you do, it's like you're gaining it, and you're improving it. Like, I'm always interested in just continuous improvement. There's no perfection. As long as this interview is a little more comfortable than the last one, I'm doing good. Right? We're in the right track. We're in the right path.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah. I love Lisa Nichols. She's kind of my lady. And she always says you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So, yeah. I mean, yeah. Mm-hmm. You just gotta do it. You just gotta start, You
gotta go in a, I always say, like, sometimes I feel like I'm in the sea, like swimming, and you're like, whoa, maybe I'll just like dive in, I won't breathe. But then you're like, come up for air, right? So a lot of times it feels that way because it's a new territory. But it's all common. Like, that's what comforts me. I'm like, someone did it. I can do it. It's not like I'm the only one. So sometimes just adapting someone else's mindset helps you come out of your own. That's why it's important to surround yourself with people that are going through it, or have been through it. Actually, even better, people that have been through it and they can talk about it. Like, okay, you're going to go through that. You'll be fine. And then because you're like, oh, okay, it's not that bad. I got it. That's why I do what I do. I just, whatever I go through, I just like help someone else along the way. That's it. And then I just keep going. The longer I go, the more people you can help, because you've just been through so much, more of that journey that you've been through. So it
reminds me of the Forrest Gump movie when he's just running and everybody just starts following him behind him. He just says, they're like, what are you doing? I just felt like running. And they all just followed him. They all just keep following. He's just running. I just kept running, But like, I would never follow Forrest Gump for that long. But the idea of it just takes one person, one idea, and everybody jumps on board and they just think you're so cool because I just love it.
That's how impact happens. How do we think all these people, influential people? And nowadays is no longer fame. Like, no one wants fame. Fame for what? I mean, social media has made everyone famous, right? I mean, we all can just chat on here and people will watch it, right? It's not about that anymore. It's about impact. It's influence. Definitely. Influence, and influence is in a positive way. Like, who can I inspire just by sharing my story the way that I know how to? And that's really all there is. And that's enough. A lot of times I used to think at the beginning, I'm like, oh, I have to speak about it a certain way. And I have to over preparation is the problem with high achievers also, right? So it's overthinking everything, over preparing because your anxiety is high and you're like, I have to make sure everything is perfect. right? Perfectionism. But then it's like, no one relates to that. Hello. Like people just want to know like you're real you. And then you're like, let your stuff down. And then you're laying like you're unraveling your layers one at a time until you really become that person you're really meant to be, because you realize that that's not the game. You're focusing on the wrong thing. And then you get comfortable, and then people love it, right? You impact other people because you are you. And that's, I think, what authenticity comes into play. You just slowly just grow into that because you realize that, oh, and a lot of times I used to do, especially like new things, like we could chat about the interview because this is very relatable since we're doing it. I'm like, oh my God, who's going to listen to this? Every time I would go on, I would be like, oh boy, I don't know. Right? But then I would listen to it and like people responding, and a lot of times it's silence, right? Silence because people are busy. And a lot of times we're people are always listening, I feel like, but they're not always responding because they're in their own journey. So I had to learn that. But then once you feel some impact, you're like, okay, I'm doing the right thing. Even if it's one person. At the beginning, that's all it takes. And then you expand, you grow. And that's how more people come on board. And that's how we're going to heal the world. Anyway.
There it is. Heal the world. That's what it's about. We got it. It in a half hour.
Oh my gosh. We figured it all out.
We got it. Everybody heard that?
Oh my goodness. Well, Svetlana, thank you so much for everything you shared. I enjoy all the interviews, and they're all unique in the way that we are as individuals. So I thank you for everything you shared with us today. And lastly, before we close off, where is it that people can find you if they really connect with your message today?
If they connect with my message, and I hope they did, they can find me on Instagram at Listen to Heal Now.
Listen to Heal Now. Awesome.
Who doesn't want to heal now? Come on.
That is you. Keep that up. That is you. So I really appreciate everything. I'm very grateful for your time, because nowadays I think time is really of scarcity. So I really thank you for your time you spend with us and serving the community. I mean, if we serve one person, we've done our job. We can just
absolutely
go home and really feel good about our day. So thanks again. And we will all see each other on another show next week. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.